Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Andrew Pressler, and I'm a Deep Cycle Product Marketing Specialist at Flow-Rite. On this call with me is our Deep Cycle Business Development Manager, Todd Cowan, who will be answering your questions after this presentation is over. You can find the question tab in your control panel on the right side of the screen, so feel free to ask any during the presentation. And with that, I will hand the presentation off to Todd. Take it away.
Thanks, Andrew. I would like to thank everyone who has taken time to join us today for part one of Flow-Rite's Deep Cycle Battery Care Management webinar series. In part one, we will focus on single-point watering systems and water supplies. Please take advantage of the question tab. As Andrew mentioned, if we're not able to get to your question during the webinar, we will follow up afterwards. Let's get started. Flow-Rite Controls was founded in 1981 by Dan Campo. As a vertically integrated company, Flow-Rite designs, manufactures, and markets fluid control devices for lead-acid batteries, recreational fishing boats, and hydroponics. All Flow-Rite products are solely our own proprietary developments and are protected by over 3 dozen U.S. patents as well as hundreds of international patents. As a vertically integrated company, Flow-Rite Controls can control every aspect of our processes, from our in-house tool and die shop, our injection molding area, assembly, engineering, our sales and marketing. It's all under one roof. At Flow-Rite, we have an amazing team of associates that think beyond tomorrow, love what we do, help first, and question and improve. As a result of Flow-Rite's vertical integration, we're proudly made in the USA. We're also an ISO 9001-2015 certified company. Here's a brief agenda of what we'll be covering today. We're going to start off with some product training for Pro-Fill and Qwik-Fill, talk about the applications, do a little troubleshooting review, and finish up talking about the Eagle-Eye Deep Cycle level sensor with light. As I mentioned earlier, part one will focus on single-point watering systems and water supplies as they relate to flooded lead-acid deep cycle batteries. Flow-Rite identifies the product for this application as Pro-Fill or Qwik-Fill. Pro-Fill is what we refer to the systems that are used on the golf car style batteries. The systems consist of automatic shutoff valves, interconnected tubings, and they replace their traditional vent caps on these batteries. Pro-Fill helps to save money, improve safety, optimize battery life, and save time. The markets that Pro-Fill serves are numerous and include, but are not limited to, golf cars, utility vehicles, floor scrubbers, aerial work platforms, construction equipment, locomotive, RV, pallet jacks, solar, standby power, basically anywhere a flooded lead-acid deep cycle battery can be used. In those markets, there's a ton of applications. So in front of you, I just have two very common ones, but I think it shows some of the flexibility that the Pro-Fill single-point watering system offers for these numerous applications. On the left is a common golf car layout, and on the right is a common pallet jack that uses 4 6-volt deep cycle batteries. You can see in one layout, the batteries are all on the same plane, and in the other, they're actually stacked. That's really no problem. Pro-Fill offers the flexibility for all applications. Let's talk a little bit about the heart of the Pro-Fill system, and that's the valve. The Pro-Fill valve is the only single-point watering system valve designed specifically for deep cycle golf car style batteries. Valves are connected to our patented Manifold system, which is now in front of you. This Manifold system has the advantage of ease of install. It uses a 3-port swivel. It's also compatible with our snake tubing. Each valve is date coded as part of our warranty. Each valve has winged tabs for ease of install. And each valve comes with internal and external flame arresters standard, as well as a protective shroud on the bottom of the valve. Pro-Fill actually has 3 styles of valves to accommodate all deep cycle batteries on the market. As you can see the three styles in front of you. G is the most common, and it's what I just showed you in the two previous slides. The J valve is for Trojan 12-volt batteries and all Plus Series Trojan batteries, and the K valve is for the Crown 12-volt. We make solid manifolds that I just spotlighted for 6, 12, and 8-volt versions. You can also see we make flexible tubing that fits any battery cover spacing. So with the valves and the manifold combinations in our tubing, you're able to customize your single point watering system for any application. The valves and the manifold use our tubing. Our clampless tubing is a patented rubber resin formula that protects the tubing from degradation. It's super flexible, allowing tight bend radiuses with no kinking. It doesn't break down over time from gas or acid exposure. And we color it black to prevent any light from penetrating the tubing and getting to the water and causing algae growth. At Flow-Rite for Pro-Fill, we also offer our snake tubing. This is a custom molded piece that's also colored black to resist algae growth. It's custom molded though for specific battery layouts. So rather than cutting tubing, you can use this snake tubing to just snap into place for much faster installation. It's made of polypropylene, so it's rugged and resists the acid in the tough environment. And this is available in kits, and it's also available for our OEM partners to buy in bulk, just like the clampless tubing I talked about before. So that covers Pro-Fill for most applications that I discussed. We also have Pro-Fill RV that is a specific product for the onboard batteries on RVs that are 6 volts. As I said, it's market specific. It's an onboard watering system for 6-volt batteries, and it simplifies the routine of watering RV batteries. This is a nice product because you get all those Pro-Fill features and benefits in a smaller package or kit that is specific for those RV 6-volt applications. So that is all of Pro-Fill. Now we're going to talk about Qwik-Fill. And Qwik-Fill is unique because it's for deep cycle batteries, but Qwik-Fill single point watering system works for group 24 to 27 batteries, as well as most 29 through 31. Again, these are 12-volt marine deep cycle batteries. One of the primary causes for short battery life is failure to maintain proper water levels for marine batteries. So Qwik-Fill makes that simple and easy, more convenient than traditional watering methods. It controls the electrolyte levels to the correct amount. It's safer, more reliable, and it's easy to use. In the next slide here, you see kind of a typical battery that this system may be used on. There's other makes and models, but you can see for these group 24 to 27 or the 29s to 31s, the cell spacing for these batteries needs to be 1 5/8 inches from center to center on the adjacent cells, and they need to be in 2 groups of 3. Obviously, for 12 volts, the cell opening size is 3/4 inch. Qwik-Fill installs really easy. Once installed on top of the battery, it only sticks out 1 1/4 inch above the existing battery cover, so it's very low profile to fit in boats, kind of specific for the application. So that is Qwik-Fill. I think it's important to kind of review the benefits like cost. We're saving labor for our end users by using single point watering systems. The time savings is obvious over manual watering, especially in higher voltage battery packs or vehicles that make getting to the battery covers difficult. Single point watering is a huge time saving. And obviously we want to optimize battery life for the end user and our customers. And obviously it's much safer than manual watering. So we've kind of covered all of the products for Qwik-Fill and Pro-Fill. The next question or next part that I would like to cover is a very common question that we get asked a lot, and what single point watering system is correct for my battery? It's very common. Deep cycle batteries come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, so it can be very confusing. Luckily, we have answers via part number guides in our catalog on our website at www.flowrite.com, as well as just by calling our customer service line, our main line, or myself. We can gladly kind of wade through and determine the correct part number for your Pro-Fill or deep cycle application. And it can be daunting because there are so many options and it is so flexible, but we're here to help. So with that being said, we've talked about the system, the single point watering system, the different types, the applications, and the markets. But once we've done all that, we still need to determine a water supply to feed that single point watering system in the application. So we get asked a lot, what type of water supply should I use? Well, that's a really great question. And we're going to kind of wade through that a little bit in the next couple of slides. I'd like to note that all Flow-Rite water supplies come turnkey, meaning when you buy it, you don't have to buy any extra fittings or hoses or adapters. They come ready to use with any Flow-Rite single point watering system. So as you can see in front of you, we have numerous options and they all kind of look the same, and when they're on a piece of paper, they're all the same size, but they're definitely not all the same size and they're not all the same. They're not all for the same application. So with that being said, I want to talk about our water supply. It's the second most popular that we sell, but it works for both Pro-Fill and Qwik-Fill, and that's the hand pump. The hand pump is the only water supply for Qwik-Fill, but it can also be used for Pro-Fill as long as there are 24 cells or less. So 48 volt application or smaller, the hand pump will work for Pro-Fill. It is the only water supply, as I mentioned, for Qwik-Fill. Now, this is perfect for the person that might own one golf car or one utility vehicle or have a light application use, maybe a quick fill system on a boat. They would need this hand pump. It's inexpensive, easy to use, and well built. So next I want to talk about two of our other common water supplies for Pro-Fill. The first being the deionizer, and that is pictured on the left. This maximizes battery life by removing ions and heavy metals present in tap water prior to filling the battery watering system. It uses a separate bed deionizer exchange cartridge that filters water before it enters the battery. The cartridge can be discarded when replaced. It's not toxic, and the cartridges can be replaced to assure good water quality. It's got a water quality light that turns red when the cartridge needs to be changed. This is for use on larger fleet style applications where the water quality is poor. It's available turnkey, as I mentioned, all water supplies are. The other water supply on this slide is our regulated hose supply. This is our number one seller. It uses no bulky components to mount, has no valves to open or close, needs no tools to install. It just screws onto a standard garden hose bib. It's available in 5-foot lengths and 20-foot lengths, and that's for a situation probably for a fleet or larger that has good water quality and needs a way to fill lots of vehicles. The next two water supplies is the portable water supply, which is the red box on the right. This is used for larger applications where distilled water or deionized water may be in a bigger tank or vessel. This is for large fleet applications, but it can be portable because it can run on both DC and AC. Also on this slide is our blue water cart. This is for small to large fleets that require mobility of a cart to fill their battery watering systems. It takes up a small footprint. It's for easy storage. It's ergonomic in its design. The hose has a self-holding handle. There's some cutouts for storage on the cart. The capacity of the cart is 22 gallons and the hose length is 9. Finally, for water supplies, we have our gravity tank, which is pictured on the left. This is for smaller fleets of 3 batteries or less. It's not very fast, and it must be mounted a minimum of 6 feet higher than the tallest battery in the application. This is an older technology that we still offer. There are some people that still prefer the older technology. Also on this page on the far right is our mini pump. This is for 24 cells or fewer for Pro-Fill. It's basically an electronic version of our hand pump that I already talked about. The hand pump is pictured here again. As we talked about, it's great for one-off utility vehicles or golf cars. It's very cost effective, works great for RVs, boats, and golf cars. So those are the watering systems. Another question that is asked a lot in regards to single point watering systems is, will the Flow-Rite system function in my working condition? And what this is a lot of applications are in climates that get very cold and freeze, and climates that get very hot and have temperatures of 100 degrees or plus. The answer is very simple in that they will. Flow-Rite's Pro-Fill systems are designed to work in all environments. The system is made to work from freezing to 150 degrees. So there's really no concern with either super cold or super high temperatures for the application. Now let's get into talking about some troubleshooting tips. Now that we've identified the single point watering system and a water supply for use, there may be questions that come up during the use of the system. If there's ever an issue with Pro-Fill during the filling process, a common practice is to do a bucket test. And what the bucket test does is assures that the water supply for the single point watering system is performing optimally with the correct pressure and flow. And it's really easy to conduct. It's for applications that are using any water supply other than a hand pump. And it's simple. The person just needs to get a 5-gallon bucket, the water supply, and some kind of stopwatch or timing device. Connect the water supply and fill the bucket for 1 minute. That volume of water needs to be measured. If the volume of water is between 2 to 5 gallons, then we know the water supply is functioning properly, and we can move on to other issues that may be causing the problems. So this is a nice test that we have developed for troubleshooting the water supplies. It's very simple and easy to do. A common question we get in regards to water supplies is, can I use my own hose or hook up my regulated hose up to a hose reel? And the answer is no. We never recommend any changing or adapting of water supplies because it will adversely affect the pressure and flow of the water supply, which then will adversely affect the efficiency and the function of the single point watering system that you're hooking it to. So the answer to that is always no. We never recommend it. A lot of times we get asked questions in regards to the batteries after the systems are installed. In front of you right now are two pictures of different batteries, but with two different issues, but kind of similar. We get asked a lot via our customer service channels is, why do I find electrolyte or things or water or residue on top of my batteries? And there's two reasons. On the left, you'll see a condition that we call boil out. Boil out is the result of watering a battery before it's been charged. A battery should always be watered after it's charged. If a battery is watered before it's charged, the added water is actually not the correct volume because the specific gravity of the electrolyte is different at low charge compared to full charge. So when the battery is at full charge, all that extra water is pushed out of the battery, and the result is water or electrolyte on top of the battery is pictured on the left. On the right is a condition that we get called a lot, where there is what's often called corrosion or buildup on the outside of the battery. In a battery that cycles frequently due to the venting capability of the single point system, oftentimes a residue will form. This is pretty normal, and we usually just recommend a light cleaning of the battery, but this is nothing to be alarmed about. We often get calls because of moisture on top of the battery due to missing end caps or damaged O-rings or tubing or swivel tees. So we always ask if there's moisture on top of the battery to check the installation of the tubing, the O-ring conditions, the red end caps, and whatnot, just to assure there's no leaks or anything obvious there. As I mentioned earlier, our systems are designed to work from freezing to 150 degrees. We do get asked a lot if there's seasonal maintenance that's required. There is some seasonal maintenance that's required. For example, a water supply needs to be stored in its empty state. Obviously, you don't want to store a water supply full of water because the freeze damage will occur. For the single point systems, we just ask that the coupler is left on top of the battery to allow natural water flow back into the system. Otherwise, we ask that everyone kind of refer to their specific operation and maintenance manual for the water supply and single point system. But the single point system really just requires that the coupler be left on top of the battery to allow a natural flow of water back into the system. Some other maintenance tips, we always like to assure, as I pointed out, that the water supply is correct and not been adapted and is correct for the single point watering system that's being used for, and always refer to the manuals that are available with the system when it arrives, and they're available online as well. Finally, I'd like to talk about Flow-Rite's Eagle Eye level lights. Flow-Rite developed the Eagle Eye level light for our Pro-Fill specific product line. The Eagle Eye has an integrated probe that's integrated directly into the valve. So the valve still has the flame arresters and its flame arresting capability. But the Eagle Eye uses a red light to indicate when the battery needs watering and a green light to indicate when it's okay. After full charge, the operator sees the light is red, they add water. If it's green, they move on. The product is a very low current draw. It's actually reverse polarity protected for installation. It's compatible with all single point Pro-Fill single point watering systems by Flow-Rite. So it's a really great product, and it's great because it allows people to very easily see if a vehicle or a battery pack or bank needs water. Based on the success that Flow-Rite has had with the Eagle Eye, we have developed Advanced Battery Steward. Advanced Battery Steward monitors and tracks battery data wirelessly. We will actually focus on this technology in our next webinar on May 12th at 2 p.m. The title of that webinar is Deep Cycle Battery Level Lights, Sensors, and Connected Technology, and is the second part in our three-part series. I hope that everybody can join us for that webinar as well. As I said earlier, at Flow-Rite, we have an amazing team of associates that think beyond tomorrow, love what we do, and help first. We're also always questioning and improving. So if you have any questions or needs, please reach out for assistance. Thanks for joining us today. Again, please join us for part 2 on May 12th at 2 p.m. for Deep Cycle Battery Level Lights, Sensors, and Connected Technology. I look forward to answering some questions that have come in, and thanks again.
Thanks, Todd. So with that, I'll open up the floor for any questions. It looks like we had a couple come in. Todd, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. So I got a couple questions. One is, how come hand pumps do not come in kits?
How come hand pumps do not come in kits? Hand pumps can actually be purchased with Pro-Fill universal kits. We just, I didn't just cover that, and maybe that's content that I should add going forward, but the hand pump, actually, the hand pump can be included in any universal Pro-Fill kit that we offer.
Okay, cool. And then I did get another question. Can manifolds be removed to check the water level?
Yes, manifolds can be removed, as well as the valves. The valves have a winged cap design that make installation and removal very easy. However, if someone was curious to monitor the level inside the battery, I'd recommend our Eagle Eye deep cycle sensor that I actually just got done talking about. It's an inexpensive way to always have that visibility without any risk or danger. You know exactly if that water level is good or not.
Cool. And then I do have another question here. What batteries does the G valve fit?
Okay, the G valve, that's a great question because the G valve fits most batteries. The G valve only does not fit the Crown 12 volt, the Trojan 12 volt, and the Trojan Plus series batteries. Otherwise, the G valve fits all other make and models for that category of battery. That's a good question.
Cool. Let's see. Let's go here. I think that covers the questions that we have for this webinar right now. So, with that, Todd, is there anything else that you want to add, or is there anything else?
Yeah, sure. Just if someone has more questions, they can reach out direct, email, or call, or reach out. My contact stuff's on the screen right now if anyone needs it.
Cool. Great. So just want to thank you again, Todd, and thanks again everybody else for attending. If you do have any questions in here, I don't think I see any, but like Todd mentioned, just feel free to reach out to Todd if you come up with any other questions after this is over. And we also have some brochures and literature down on the handout section. We have a few of those that you can download if you'd like. And then also we will be contacting the winner of the free Pro-Fill display sometime next week as well. So, and then in addition to that, just be sure to be on our lookout for the next webinar on May 12th. We'll be sending out the invite for that shortly. So once again, just wanted to thank everybody for attending. Hope you stay safe and stay healthy, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.